of this certification exam.
AWS solution architect associate level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So AWS certified
Solution architect.
solutions architect associate, right? So this year, no, this particular model SAA C02 is in place. So now there is no longer examination for C01. So what you have to appear for is C02. Okay. So this is the code of the exam, right? Now this is released in 2020. Okay. So you know about this certification, about the associate level. This is the most popular AWS certification. Okay. So one is there practitioner level, so but that is just like introductory, so that is not valued, that will not add anything to your resume, right? So this is something you should go for, right? So how many questions will be there? That was the first question, right? So how many questions? 65.
65.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
per question has 1 minute. 1 minute number.
Yeah. So total number of question is 65, and
Okay.
total number of minutes are
130. Oh.
yeah.
Not even not even 2 minutes to think about it.
Yeah, approximately 2 minutes, right?
2 minutes.
Correct. 65 into 2, 130, right?
Yeah, 130 or 2 minutes.
Yeah. So you will have, and no question should be, so approximately 2 minutes, right? And question should be scenario based. Okay. What kind of questions will be there?
Okay, it's a scenario based. Okay.
Scenario based only. No hands on. No hands on. But why you need hands on? Just to have understanding, right? How things are, actually there, right? How it happens, right? So if you are familiar with that, then only you can understand it in totality, right? So for that purpose, here or there, like you need to focus on the hands-on as well, right? But though that in-depth understanding of the subject, right, from the architecture point of view, you should have, right? Because it is architect level examination, right? So here you have to look at a broader picture, bigger picture, right? Okay, so now approximately you are having this 2 minutes. So as you already showed the reaction, right? So you should not give more than 2 minutes for each question. Any of the question, I would say, not for each question. For any of the question, you should not give more than 2 minutes, right? Because speed is very important here. Speed matters. Okay, so there will be different type of approaches, how you are appearing in the exam and how you are handling the questions, right? So most of the questions will be having 4 choices. Okay. Mostly 4 choices, right? So mostly, I just mention it clearly, otherwise. Most questions will have 4 choices for choices of answers. Okay. Now, mostly in this situation, right? 1 may be correct. Okay. 1 may be no correct. So now here the biggest problem will be no. All the 4 may be technically correct. All the 4 may be possible. All the 4 can be the solution. Okay. Okay, getting my point? So you are getting 4 choices. All the 4 may be technically correct. All the 4 may be giving solutions to whatever problems are there, whatever discussion happens in the question, all the 4 may be correct. Making sense?
Okay.
Making it difficult now. Correct, right? That is the real difficulty. All the 4 may be correct, but if you feel like, oh, all the 4 are correct, then again you should read the question one more time. Then you will find some clue in the question, right? Maybe they will talk about cost, or they may be bothered about the high availability, or they may be bothered about burden, right? Operational overhead. They may be focusing on security, right? So you have to understand the actual context, right, with some weightage on particular aspect of the context. There only you have to focus. So whatever they are indicating in the question, right, you have to choose the best possible solution according to the question, right? So all may be technically correct. However, you have to choose the best option in that particular given scenario. Am I making sense here?
Yeah.
So this is also technically correct. This is also technically correct. This is also technically correct. But this is most suitable, right, in questions context. Okay, making sense?
Okay.
Now, another question set would be 5 choices. You got 5 choices, right? But whenever that question is there, at the end of the question, it will be written select 2. It will be mentioned. Okay? What do you mean?
The 2 answers are correct.
Yeah. So you have to choose most suitable 2 answers, right? This is also maybe technically correct. This is also technically correct. This is most suitable. This is also most suitable. So two answers are there, right? And you have to choose both. Got it? Any doubt?
No.
So what if you just no choose one correct and one incorrect? One you have chosen this, you have like A, B, C, D, E. So here C and E are correct, but you have chosen A and you have chosen E. So will you get the marks? How much marks you will get?
No mark.
Who is this?
Apeksha.
Perfect. Perfect, perfect. So you got it.
Mm.
You got it. You'll not get anything. Okay?
Yeah.
So nothing like half done here. Okay? Making sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay? So partially if you just give correct answer, you'll not get any score. That's it. Okay? Perfect. Now, what other experience or what other things I want to discuss is, yeah. So there will be total 1000 points. How many points? 1000 marks total. Okay.
Mhm.
So now in our other normal traditional exam or something, there will be like this question will be 2 marks, right? That question will be 3 marks. One question will be for 3 questions will be for 5 marks. One question will be for 10 marks. All those concepts are not there. Forget about that.
Okay.
You don't know. You don't know which question has how much point and how much marks.
Mhm.
Okay. What you only need to know is you have to get 720 marks. Out of 1000. This is what you need. Making sense? Hello?
Yeah.
So, no question, right? You will not know how many marks for each question, for any particular question, right? And now, the only thing is if you get 720, you pass, right? If you get less than that, right, fail. So 720 is a number which you have to remember. This side is fail, that side is pass. So this exam is only about fail or pass. That's it. No third choice. Okay. Now we discussed about you may never know how much marks may be there associated with a particular question. So there, I'd also like to tell you there may be a question, right, without score also. Urvashi. Urvashi,
Yeah, recently.
yeah. So there may be a question which will not be evaluated.
Which won't be having any score, right?
Yeah.
And most of the time, what happens, whichever doesn't have score, we correct. Maximum question will go wrong.
So
It
now,
is based on
yeah,
luck also, like sometimes, right?
correct. So now, for that reason, what I suggest, do not spend more than 2 minutes on any of the question. It's not worth.
Yeah.
See, you may spend 10 minutes for one question,
Uh-huh.
and that is without score. Think.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
So never spend more than 2 minutes on any of the question unless and until
Yes.
you have finished all the 65 questions, right? So that is a suggestion, right? So there can be questions without score. Simply they will not check that one. That's it. So without score thing, they are like 65 thing. So now there may be some few questions without score, right? Now they will check the remaining one. Whatever is without score, that they will not even look at. That's it.
Okay.
Okay. So there is option like that also. Now, what else I wanted to tell? So,
What's the approximate cost, Harish, for this certification?
$150 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. So depends on the conversion rate, whatever for that particular day when you are enrolling,
One
right?
more question, Harish. Suppose I'm giving examination, okay, and unfortunately I'm getting failed. So will I be able to give exam again?
Not for that price, but you can
Yeah.
definitely check. There will be some kind of beta version sometimes available. So I don't think now you are having any such option where they will be giving some option where you can reappear something. But here I don't think as of now you are having any such option.
So if 749 also comes, it means I'm failed.
Yeah, even 1 marks less. 749 is pass. 720 you need.
Oh, 720, 719 is okay.
Yeah,
There is some negative marking as well.
no negative marking.
Okay, okay, okay.
So that is a good thing, right?
That's a better.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. So there is no negative marking, right? That's a good thing you have brought. So you must attempt all the questions. No negative marking, right? So even if you do something wrong, no impact. But by chance, if that comes as correct, you'll get marks, right? Correct. So you should try all the questions, right? So how you should take the questions? My guidance would be you go through the questions 3 times. Okay. So what you do in the first time, you look out for the simple question. Say like this question you saw looks like difficult. So you flagged this. Now this one was very easy. It you answered in 30 seconds. This one was very difficult. You flagged this. Okay. Now this one was difficult. This one was fine. This one also you answered. Right? Now you have many more. So finally you answered this. You didn't do this, didn't do this, didn't do this. You have option to flag it. Now this is second iteration. In second iteration, what you do, whatever these questions are there, so just see that's very big question actually. These are very small questions, simple questions that you have no easiest questions. You look at it and you know the answer, right?
Okay.
So which one is like having highest IUPS? So you have choice like IO1, right? And ST1, SC1, GP2. What is the correct one?
IO1.
That's it. So you simply marked and just move forward. So it took only 2 seconds. Now, if you have some simple question, right? So simply finish that so that you scored some marks. Now with this only you scored some marks, right? Some minimum, say like you got 500 marks, or you got say like 300 or 500 you should get at least. Say like 500 marks I gave you here. Now in the second one, you are looking for questions which is very big, and answer choices are like in paragraphs only. Okay, so question is like this much, or question may be small also sometimes. Question may be like this much only. Answer is like this. So now it's really maybe difficult to read it quickly and finish it in a minute or something. Now what you will do this time, if you start focusing on all those questions, you may never be able to estimate the time, and you may waste some time, and at the end you may leave some simple question only, right? Because what happens, some people are not able to attempt all the 65 questions only. Understanding?
Yeah.
What happened? 1 second. Okay. So if 65 questions, if you are not able to attempt, then you are in a loss. And by mistake, some simple question you have left, then it's like too much. Correct? So simple question should not be left. That is the first target. Right? Finish as quickly as possible. Right? Because they are simple question, you know them, right? By looking at it, you can answer. Now in the second round, right, what you do, look at the questions which are complex, where you have to read it thoroughly, you have to understand the scenario, right, apply your brain, right, and then do it, right? So in the second round, right, you can choose known, complex questions, right? Known complex questions, where you see that S3 is written, glacier is written, right? Where something like ELB is there, something is there. So you just see them, and by reading them you can answer it easily. So now again, say like this one you finished, this one you finished, this one you just leave it flagged. This one is anyway done. This is like you finished. Now here you have one more, or here you have one more. 3 are there now. Now you come back. Done. Whatever complex known things were there. Now whatever you have left is unknown. You don't know. You have not heard. Okay? Possible? Some particular service that you are not aware. What is that service? You simply don't remember. That's it. Possible?
Yeah.
So if you don't remember, you can't relate, right, about one particular service or one particular situation. So there may be like 2-3 questions, 4-5 questions, or like that. So now this time, just focus on those questions. Choose whatever you wish. You guess it. Making sense?
Okay.
But you must attempt all the 65 questions. That's it. Simply guess or do whatever you wish, right? But you have to attempt everything. You just attempt everything, it will increase the probability of getting more marks, right? Okay. So that is the idea behind it. So anyways, like all the questions, all the examinations, everything will be different, because people will be getting different sets, and it's not like what you get and what others get. So it's not necessarily the same thing. Okay. So that's it. No, you can try that, and you can try to get as much as possible. But again, you have to have good understanding about how things work and what is the best solution possible, right? So that is something you have to focus upon. So this is about this. I will just show you something. Let me share my screen. My screen is visible, right? So I had created a small document. I had kept some URL here. Okay, so that day I was telling, I'll share some definitions, right? So some definitions I have written. So I'll just share this document maybe with you. Right? I'll share with Devasis, he can share with you, right? So scalability, what is scalability? What is elasticity, right? So see the difference here. So I have just added decrease. That's it. Right? So the ability of a system to increase resources to match increased demand is scalability. Elasticity is like increase as well as decrease. So usually it is automated one. Normally if resource is elastic, it's also scalable, but the reverse may not always be true. However, we have an example in our AWS only. Look at this exception. EBS volume size, you remember that day we tried to scale up. Scaling up was there, scaling down option was not there.
Yeah.
So it's scalable but not elastic. That is one exception. But otherwise, usually what will happen? Whatever is elastic, that will be scalable as well. So say like IOPS and throughput, you can scale up, scale down. For EBS, we are doing scaling for EBS manually. So it's not necessarily automated. So it has the capability to increase based on the increased demand, right? So it's not necessarily automated, it can be manual. Another definition I have written about availability means percentage of time. Redundant means multiple dedicated resources to perform the same task, right? High availability means the system will continue to function despite the complete failure of any component of the architecture. And fault tolerance I was telling. So what is the difference here? Without degradation. That's it. Highly available without degradation. So that is fault tolerance. So where I came here to just get this URL, right? So just I just ping it. You just I ping in the group chat. You can open it. That chat option. Here participants. Where is that? Chat. Here you go. So message here. Please let me know if you got this URL.
Yeah, we got it.
Okay, so just click on this URL, right? So you just see this. So they are discussing about exam guide. This is okay. Look at this exam guide. So this is the official exam guide. Okay. So look at this. AWS certified SA02 examination is intended for individuals, right, who perform in solution architect role. This exam evaluates the examinee's ability to effectively demonstrate knowledge of how to architect, how to deploy secure and robust applications on AWS. So what kind of ability is needed? Solution using architectural design principles based on customer requirement. So this is kind of job description, right? Where what is needed, what kind of knowledge is recommended, what kind of knowledge is there for your selection, right? So that kind of job description they are giving, right? So you should be able to define a solution using architectural design principles based on customer requirement. Whatever is the requirement, based on that only you have to design. So you cannot design whatever you wish, right? Now, provide implementation guidance based on best practices to an organization throughhout throughout the life cycle of a project. So you have to guide also how to implement, that also you have to guide. Not only you create the design, you should be able to guide also what they need to do, right? So you should have broader understanding of the concept. So what is needed? Recommended AWS knowledge. 1 year of hands-on experience. You see here, 1 year, everybody there?
Yeah.
All became silent. 1 year of hands-on.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not easy. You have to do stuff, you have to practice, then you have to practice. First you have to learn the subject, then you have to practice it, and then you have to do some kind of question answer practice and all. But for reading the question, right, going to that level where you can read and understand question and try to relate to it, right, you require little in-depth understanding where you should be able to relate one thing with the other, right? So that kind of understanding should come. So that will come. Now what I understand, right, you have got the foundation, right? So you have got an idea, right, what is where, what all things are there, where I have to look for it, what I need to practice, right, and where I can learn from, right? So I would just say that this 40 hours, right, of training is not sufficient for passing the examination. So based on my experience, right, depends on people to people. So based on my experience, I would say you need around 200 hours of study, including hands-on, right? So if you can spend 200 hours, right? So maybe how much you have heard from me, right? Apart from that, you have to try 4 more times that much, right? So one time is like 40 hours you spend. Apart from that, if you can spend additional 160 hours, okay, so it should be perfect. Okay, so 1 year of hands-on that you can try to cover, and that is a recommendation, right? So that is ideally it should be like that, but if you practice, right, you can learn, you can relate, you can collate, you can try to think logically, so you can do it. Cost effective, fault tolerant, and scalable. So you have to focus on what? Availability we discussed. Cost effective it should be. So simply you cannot say that no, you choose this option or that option. Whatever you are giving should be fault tolerant. How much fault tolerant it is, and scalability always matters. So that's why they are asking that you should have hands-on experience designing these kind of solutions. Hands-on experience using compute, networking, storage, and database. So I was talking about 4 services, right, for a couple of days, right? So compute, networking, storage, and database. These 4 things you should do some hands-on, right? Remaining things, theory is fine, right? So here, once you have done some hands-on, you have created VPC on your own, and you went to create the subnet, and you found that, oh my God, this IP it is not taking. Now you are putting 10.10.0.0.0.0/16 and in one VPC, and first subnet you also gave 10.0.0.0/16. Now that subnet has taken all the IP address that was meant for VPC. Now you are trying to add some IP for the second availability zone. Now it's not taking. So if you do hands-on, you'll come to know, right? You will understand, oh, what happened, why it's happened, it's not happening. So like that, you will have understanding by doing some hands-on, by doing some practice on your own, right? And that also by understanding the concept slowly. You have to just try to do hands-on, and you have to keep referring. Some new thing comes, you have to just read it, and then you should continue. So like that, consciously you just try to do some hands-on, right? So that you will have very good understanding. Hands-on experience with AWS deployment and management services, right? So they are telling like this recommended knowledge is there, like you should have hands-on on AWS deployment and management services. So how to deploy, how to manage. So you have practically worked, right? But anyways, you can try and then you can learn. Ability to identify and define technical requirements for an AWS-based application. So you should be able to identify what is the need, what they are looking for, right? How will you identify, right? By understanding what is happening in traditional on-premises data center, what they are looking for, what kind of problem they are facing, right? And then define the requirement. So requirement, how you will define? By understanding the need of the customer, right? What challenges they are facing, what they are looking for. Are they looking for some cost benefit? Are they looking for some security related stuff? What they're looking for, right? Now, ability to identify which AWS services meet a given technical requirement. So once you know about the service, then only you can give some solution, right? So now you understood the requirement. Okay, that this person is looking for that, but unless and until you relate that, whether this person is looking for S3 infrequent access or this person is looking for Glacier. So if you know Glacier and if you know S3 infrequent access one zone, then only you can say that, okay, you go for one zone, that is fine. Or you will send them to Glacier, then that is of no use. So you should have the ability to identify which one is going to be suitable for that particular situation for a particular customer. Knowledge of recommended best practices for building secure and reliable applications on AWS platform. So best practices is always helpful. What we should do? What is the best practice, right? Okay, tell me, is it a best practice to log in to the account using root account?
Yes, Harish, but we'll have a link and then we'll have to click and then we can go to the website.
You can create? I couldn't hear. Can you be a bit closer to mic? Urvashi? Hello? Urvashi? Who was that? I didn't hear. Others can hear me?
Yes, Harish. I think
Yeah.
she was on.
I think Urvashi is speaking in mute or something.
Harish, actually there is some problem with my mic, it seems. I don't know. I mean,
Oh, you said something I didn't hear.
yeah, what I was asking, there is a link, okay? So in that link, I'll click, I'll go to the PDF, right? And this browser training website. So this website which you're talking about, the browser training website for exam preparation, this.
Yeah.
So here, I mean, it will take us to the website where what? I mean, can you go there once to show us?
Yeah, I'm sharing my screen.
Sure.
Yeah, I can see your screen.
So same website I am at. See this website. d1.awsstatic.com.
Okay.
Correct?
Yeah, okay.
So for your reference, I have given later you can access, right?
Yeah.
So what is important here, right, is to understand this, and then you need to go through it completely. So if you just go through it, it will give you much more knowledge than reading one particular topic or something. Whenever you get a chance, you just thoroughly understand it. This is very important, right? This is just like this first page, you should not skip. This first page is very important. Then comes the second page where they are discussing about the different type of domains, right? How much marks will be there from which domain, right? So this is important. This is like you should understand this one, right? So I'll quickly browse you through. You can again get, whenever you get a chance, you can go through it, right, and try to understand further. So understanding of basic architectural principles of building in the AWS cloud, understanding of AWS global infrastructure, right? So all those things are there. You just look for what is AWS global infrastructure, you will understand. Understanding of network technologies as they relate to AWS. What kind of network technologies are there? Right? What is NAT gateway? What is internet gateway? What is VPC? Right? What is VPC? What is security group? What is NACL? What is this, that? So a lot of options. An understanding of security features and tools that AWS provides and how they relate to traditional services. Right? So what AWS is giving and how it is related to the traditional world, right? So you should have understanding, and you should be able to compare and understand, relate with the traditional infrastructure also, right? So exam preparation, AWS training. Browse the training website for exam preparatory courseware on architecting. So just try to open all these things. Just open this. This is very important. This white paper is very important. There is something called well architected, like a white paper. So this I will this AWS white paper and guides. So here logical separation, a lot of white papers are there. So I'll just give you whatever is relevant. So you have white paper. See, well architected framework, very, very important. So this is very important, right? So reliability. So you just look at this introduction. The AWS well architected framework helps you understand the pros and cons of decisions you make while building workloads on AWS. So how did I come here? From the same link that I have shared. Correct? You see, it's there. Purvashi, you can follow this?
Yes.
Okay, so here, this white paper, this is important. You just do a right click and open it. Right? So you can have, and then this white paper will come. Sorry.
Okay.
The white paper here you will find what?
Oh, one more thing, Harish. If I'm suppose logging into the console, if I'll click here and I log in the console, it will charge.
Why it will charge?
I'm asking, is
Log
it
into which console?
my console, free console, which I have created? So it sign into the console, it is showing for you, right? So what if you're signing in with your account? So will it charge?
No.
No, right? It's free.
No. No charges for signing in.
Oh, no. What I'm saying is like, okay, I got it, Harish.
See, we have been practicing every day, right?
Right.
So you just you can log in and not only for signing in, you have like free-tier no lot of features where they are giving you 1 year of no complete
Okay.
things like
Hands-on.
750 hours of that EC2 instance,
Yes,
right?
yes.
30 GB of EBS volume, like that they're giving, right? So no charges, right? Now, so just look at this well architected framework, right? Same thing. See, well architected, AWS well architected. So AWS well architected helps cloud architects build secure, high performing, resilient, and efficient infrastructure for their applications and workloads based on 5 pillars, right? Operational excellence, security, reliability, performance efficiency, and cost optimization, right? AWS well architected framework provides a consistent approach for customers and partners to evaluate architectures and implement designs that can scale over time. Okay. So AWS well-architected framework started as a single white paper, but has expanded to include domain-specific lenses, hands-on lab, right? AWS well-architected tool, the AWS WA tool, available at no cost, right? So all those things you should find out. This is very important, very, very, very important. AWS well-architected and the 5 pillars. So look at this: operational excellence pillar, security pillar, reliability pillar, performance efficiency pillar, and cost optimization pillar. All are following?
Yeah.
So just try to understand what they're looking for, right? This is what is your role as a solution architect, right? So what does this say? Operational excellence pillar, right? Focuses on running and monitoring systems to deliver business value and continually improving processes and procedures. Key topics include automating changes, responding to events, defining standards to manage daily operations. Are you able to relate here? Operational excellence.
Yeah.
Right? So, all are there with me?
Yeah, Harish.
Yes, Harish. Yeah.
Ranjita? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yes, sir.
And Sai?
Yes,
Yes,
Hari.
sir.
Right? So, it's not about what is the power of AWS instance that you have selected or how many AWS instance you have selected, right? What, how many storage resources you have selected. It's not about that, right? Is it about that? What is the capacity you have selected or how many like servers you have added? It's not about that.
No.
So operational excellence pillar means what? Performance efficiency pillar means what? Security pillar means what? So you have to think from different perspective. What do you mean by operational excellence pillar? What they are looking for? Performance efficiency pillar? What they are looking for? Cost optimization pillar? What they are looking for? So from 5 pillars they have mentioned, right? So if I talk about performance, if I talk about performance efficiency, right? So what will you focus on? Not the number of resources, right?
Yeah.
What?
Like
Performance
throughput,
means,
latency,
yeah, correct.
high availability, and other
Yes,
things.
perfect. So start thinking in those aspects. That's it. That's what is the purpose here, right? Nothing. They're not teaching anything technical here. Just you have to tune your thinking, right, from the point of view of performance efficiency. Say like performance pillar if we talk about, right? So, right, what kind of network you have chosen? One resource you have kept somewhere, another resource you have kept somewhere. What kind of network is there in between? And whatever is the network between the resources, that is one aspect. Another aspect can be you have your resource in a place and you have your customer 1,000 miles apart. Will the end user get the performance? No, right?
No.
So in that case, you have to think of some solution where the resource will come closer to the end user. Maybe by means of some kind of tool, say like you have CloudFront, you have stored some data in the website, and then now end user is somewhere very far away, and then you want things to reach him quickly. So maybe you think of some solution. Maybe think of CloudFront. So like that only you have to think, right? If you think from cost point of view, right? So simply making it zero cost or something will not help.
Yeah.
So it should be optimum. Based on what? Based on the right need.
Yeah.
So how you will explore that? So what are the tools available to us, right? So now say like lot of things are there to explore. Say like here, if you go to billing, you try to explore things there. In the billing you go, right? Very simple it is, nothing complicated, right? Nothing much technical. See, 4 rupees 53 paisa I have incurred, right?
Wow.
Was that needed? For free tier I have incurred this much. That means something I have done. Here you see forecast is little more only. Bill detail I have to go and see what has taken so much money. So now I just bill detail is showing expand all. So I expanded. I come down, I see Ohio. Here it is like 1 hour.
Oh, NAT gateway.
NAT gateway I had used.
Oh.
So this NAT gateway is something which had taken a static IP, you remember?
Yes.
So that static IP charged me for that. They charged me for an hour. Because that is the minimum duration for which they will charge. That is hourly, right? So you use it for whatever time, they will charge you for an hour. Even that elastic IP also hourly, right? So they'll charge you per hour. You just use it and they'll charge you. So no data transfer, nothing has happened. Still they have charged, right? So like that, you have to understand where the cost is going, right? Whether it is useful, right? Or it may not be useful, right? So depends on that. You see cost explorer here on the top, then you see budget here, right? You have savings plan, you have budget reports, right? One day you remember I was we were discussing about the cost optimization, and then I had told you that no, I'll point you to a location that I know for pricing. So say like for EC2 pricing, AWS, you just look like this, and then you just open this. This is the location only, that very simple place that I wanted you to look at. So here, if you just look at Amazon EC2 pricing, so what do you see here? Free tier, AWS free tier includes 750 hours, right? T2 micro, right? What you can do here. Then comes the on-demand, spot instances, right? Savings plan and reserved instances. These are all things we have not discussed. Dedicated host, correct? Did you discuss all these things? We didn't discuss. So this is what we discussed about the pricing, about the cost saving, was at very basic level. So we discussed whatever we discussed, that is true. That is the base. right? So from there, you will be very alert. That is at very low level. Now you have to look at the bigger level, where you need to understand in the production environment, what do you mean by on demand? What do you mean by savings plan? What are the reserved instances? What do you mean by spot instances? Just little bit time, you just have to just look at it. So you'll just understand, oh, okay, so this is some spot instances. You should have some servers there, and then you can utilize these spot instances. Little bit I had told, like some you can bid for it, right? So say like you have 4 instances running, and then you just like want few more instances, right? So you can just whatever maximum price you can give, so that you can just put, and then you can look at the spot pricing. You just try spot instance pricing. With spot instances, you pay the spot price that's in effect for the time period your instances are running, right? Spot instances price are set by EC2 and adjust gradually based on long-term trends in supply and demand for spot instances capacity. Say like if they have a lot of resources, that is how AWS came into picture. They got a lot of resources, and then they didn't know what to do. They got expertise also, then they started selling it, right? They started giving service. So like that only. Now if they have more resources which is unnecessarily kept there, they can give you for throwaway prices. Spot instances are available at a discount of up to 90% off. So if it is simply useless for them, and they have already invested so much in technology, they can give you for 10% of whatever charges that that is there. Compared to on-demand pricing, it is 90% cheaper. So does it reduce the cost? Correct,
Yeah.
right? It will reduce, right? So we just explore this one. So this pricing, just you should look at. So this also helping. So this pricing will go through this pricing. Okay. So now go through whatever types of, that is spot pricing. So what I wanted actually was not that link, this link I wanted. So here you have everything. So go through this pricing. So go to pricing, then you look at this, we can't delete. So there is like what is on demand. With on demand instances, you pay for compute capacity by the hour or the second, depending on which instances you run. For spot instances, different story. Now what is savings plan? Savings plans are flexible pricing model that offer low prices on EC2 and target uses in exchange for a commitment to a consistent amount of uses. So you have to do some commitment that you are going to use it for long, right? So if you do a commitment, they will give you for cheaper. Okay. Making sense?
Yeah.
So like that only. Reserved instances. What is reserved instances? Reserved instances provide you with a significant discount up to 75%, right? Compared to on-demand instance pricing. In addition, when reserved instances are assigned to a specific availability zone, they provide a capacity reservation, giving you additional confidence in your ability to launch instances when you need them. So you can do a reservation, you can use reserved instances, customers that can commit to using EC2 over a 1 or 3 year term, right? So if you have uses, if you are going to use it consistently, this is a good option for you, right? Right or wrong?
Yeah.
So like that only. So you just go through all these instance types. Then while doing the cost optimization, you will be able to use this concept per second billing, right? About how billing happens, for how long you are using, for how much, what are this, how it is going to be beneficial, right? So just go through this link now. So this is RDS. This is billing. So see, in the billing, you looked at Cost Explorer, right? So you can try to enable this Cost Explorer, right? And try to explore, right? How much charges you are incurring for whatever, for what you are incurring. So you can get the detail here, right? You can define the view, you can analyze the spend, right? You can create budget also. Okay, so what do you mean by budget? You can define, say like if you spend $100, if it goes beyond $100 or something, you should get an alert. There is something like SMS, right? Simple notification service is there. So using that, it can send you some message, right? So if you create a budget, right, if it goes beyond some particular number, right, you can simply click on create a budget. You can simply say cost budget. You can simply say set your budget. So you saw there savings plan was also there. Savings plans, budget, reservation budget, usage budget, cost budget. So say like for example, you do cost budget. Cost budget, you can say monthly EC to budget something, right? You can make it monthly, quarterly, annually. You can say like monthly, recurring budget every month. Start with August month, budget amount should be fixed, right? Now I say $100. So my budget is only $100, right? Whether it is upfront reservation fee or recurring charges or taxes or whatever, all together should not be more than $100, right? If I say configure alerts, so you can see like for $100, if anything happens, the actual cost, right? Alert threshold, 80% of that $100 means $80 is consumed, right? If the actual cost becomes greater than 80% means $80, right? I should get an email or notify via Amazon simple notification service. So you want to know about simple notification service, simply open this and just try to read what is that simple notification service, right? So it's a simple thing, simple as the name suggests. Amazon simple notification service is a highly available, durable, secure, fully managed, right, messaging service, right? So this is a messaging service that enables you to decouple microservices, distributed systems, serverless applications. So, right, you can segregate, right? Decouple means what? Decoupling.
Make it separate.
Separate. Couple means, right, together, right? So just opposite, decouple. So you can this will enable you to decouple whatever resources are there, whatever services you are having. So SNS provides topics. You can create topic, right? High throughput, push based, many to many messaging, right? SNS topics publisher, right? We have something like SQS. So this is queuing service, SQS, simple queue service. We have not touched these two topics, right? So, okay, let it be now, right? 225.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so let's come back by 225 and then we can again we'll try to finish as early as possible. However, so again let me stop this.